show it to you, Greg, because I ain't got no words. I ain't got no average shit. Sometimes I wish the same.
Touch, express, 2. Yes.
Conor Benn has been training tirelessly, showcasing his lightning-fast punches during his training camp in preparation for his upcoming fight with Chris Eubank Jr., however. Darren Till predicted that the fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. would be a 50-50 contest. He acknowledged that Eubank Jr. is likely the more seasoned and heavier fighter, but he believes Benn will emerge victorious. Till pointed out that if Benn defeats Eubank Jr., it would raise questions about Eubank Jr.'s future in the sport. He also made it clear that a loss wouldn't diminish Eubank Jr.'s standing, but he felt Benn had the advantage in the fight.
Yeah, maybe then you just don't know. Maybe where does he go from there if Conor beats him? I'm not trying to say Conor's any less of a, but yeah, Chris is obviously the guy who should beat him because he's a lot heavier, maybe more seasoned, but you know. It's definitely a 50-50 fight in my eyes. I think Conor's going to beat him. So yeah, you can see where that thought process comes from. But you know, who knows? I know Chris likes to play poker a lot, so maybe comes back for the money or something.
Moreover, Teddy Atlas explains that Benn is an aggressive fighter who prefers to be on the offense, controlling the fight with his skill and technique. He likes to take charge and move forward, aiming to dominate his opponents. In contrast, Eubank has a more defensive approach, focusing on controlling the outside, using unorthodox shots and sniping at his opponent as they come in. Eubank's style is frustrating for opponents as he waits for them to get too eager, then catches them with precise, awkward shots.
And who's aggressive, likes to be aggressive in a responsible way, but he likes to be on the offense. He likes to be the boss coming forward, and he has good skill sets, good technique. And then, of course, you have Eubank, who likes to control the outside. You know, he likes to snipe you. He likes to catch you coming in. You know, he likes to throw awkward, unorthodox shots at you from different angles. You know, and make it a fight where it's frustrating for you. Where, you know, if you're coming a little over anxious, you know, he can catch you with a sniper shot. So you got two contrasting styles.
Atlas also discusses the weight difference between the two fighters. Benn is naturally the smaller fighter, while Eubank is the bigger one. The fight is taking place at a catchweight, which is a common practice in boxing history. Atlas references legendary fighters like Sam Langford, who fought across multiple weight classes, showing that it's not unusual for boxers to move up or down in weight. This history of weight changes adds an exciting layer to the fight between Benn and Eubank, where contrasting styles will clash.
It's a fight, and then you got the weight. You got to figure that in too, because you got Benn, you know, where he's a naturally smaller guy. Obviously, Eubank is naturally a bigger guy. You have a compromise in the weight. You have a catch weight, but again, that's history. The history of the sport, you go back in the 20s to 30s, but even before that, catchweight fights happened all the time. You had lightweights like Sam Langford. You guys don't know Sam Langford.
I know.
Sam Langford, oh my God.
Yeah.
You got to talk about Sam Langford.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that fought from lightweight to heavyweight, and he beat them all. I mean, so it's nothing new to have guys moving up or moving down in weight in this great sport.
Yeah.
However, Conor Benn is known for his explosive punching speed, delivering fast and powerful strikes. His training camp focuses on enhancing his agility, reflexes, and stamina, incorporating intense sparring sessions, strength conditioning, and technical drills. This preparation ensures he maintains quick, precise punches, giving him an edge in the ring. Moreover, Liam Smith argues that even fighters known for their durability, like Chris, can be knocked out if the right punch lands. He challenges the belief that certain fighters are invulnerable to being hurt, asserting that it's naive to think someone like Chris can't be knocked out. Smith emphasizes that anyone in the sport, no matter how tough, is susceptible to a well-placed shot, and he believes Conor has the power to do the same thing to Chris, just as he did when he stopped Chris in their previous fight.
I think I'm not Chris Eubank Jr. out, yeah, and let's go back to what I said before I done it. You're deluded and you're crazy if you think fighters of this level can't hit you on the chin and do damage to you. And I said before I stopped Chris, when you probably yourself and everybody else made out Chris can't be stopped to the head, I said don't be fooled and don't be so gullible, don't be so naive to think Chris is dynamite and can't. Chris is like iron and can't be knocked out. It's anybody on the chin with a sound glove on, but a shot you don't see can be knocked out, and I proved that with Chris. And Conor can do the same thing. Yeah, I think he hits hard enough to hit Chris.
However, Conor Benn's training regimen is intense and focused on building strength conditioning and boxing skills. He trains at a combination of boxing gyms and strength conditioning facilities. His routine includes heavy bag work, mid-session sparring, and speed drills to improve his overall performance.
Sometimes I wish the same.
Touch, express, 2. Yes.
Little nigga frog dead, dog. They shot my little.
Moreover, Sam Jones expressed his belief that Conor Benn will come out victorious in the fight. He highlighted Benn's youth and high energy as key factors in his favor, while acknowledging the challenge Chris Eubank Jr. faced after his heavy defeat to Liam Smith. Jones pointed out that Eubank showed resilience by bouncing back and defeating Smith in their rematch.
I just think Conor Benn's going to win. Too young, too fresh, and although, listen, Eubank, it took a lot for him to come back after getting viciously knocked out by Liam Smith, to come back and beat Liam Smith. I just think the fight's happening at the right time for Conor Benn. I think the fight's happening at the right time, and I favour Conor Benn in the fight.
Yeah.
I think Eubank Jr. is good for boxing. Genuinely, I think Chris Jr. is good for boxing. I think that if he was promoted by a Frank Warren or an Eddie Hearn back in the day when he turned pro, he would be an even bigger star than what he is now, because of how he is. He's funny, like he's quite funny, isn't he, Eubank Jr. He speaks well, but yeah, I think he's good for boxing. But I just think Conor Benn's going to chip.
Jones also noted that the timing of the fight is ideal for Conor Benn, and he favors him to win. While he recognized Eubank's boxing talent, he mentioned that had Eubank been signed with a major promoter like Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn from the start, his career might have been even more successful. Jones described Eubank as charismatic, humorous, and articulate, but still believes that Conor Benn will get the upper hand in this matchup. However, Benn's power is a key asset, with his explosive punches often catching opponents off guard. His youth adds to his physical advantages, providing him with speed and stamina. Extensive sparring with top-tier fighters has refined his skills, making him a dangerous and dynamic competitor in the ring.
The circuses and what you're a fool to buy into, it's a really good fight. It's a 50-50 fight between two guys that are world ranked in their division. I mean, he's making out like neither of them have ever boxed before. They're both useless. It's a mismatch. It's not. It's a 50-50 fight between two world-ranked fighters who, by the way, fathers happen to be Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, who had the biggest rivalry ever in British boxing, and, by the way, whose sons now have, by far, the biggest rivalry in British boxing, that is venomous, that is violent.
Interesting to think, to be honest with you. I mean, Conor's going up for, two weight divisions. He's not fought anyone like the people that Eubank Jr. has fought, at his own weight, let alone 2 weights above. So it'll be very interesting. But Conor has a huge self-belief and drive, to be honest with you. A drive like his dad the Benn family, I've never seen a family with more drive and determination. So I think everything's pointing at Chris Eubank Jr, but I think I might have a sneaky few quid on Conor, to be honest with you. His drive and his confidence and his self-belief is something that I've only ever seen in a handful of people, and he's going to need that, and I think that might be enough against Eubank.
Moreover, Eddie Hearn supported the fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr, emphasizing that it's a fair and competitive matchup between two elite boxers. He dismissed claims of an unbalanced fight, pointing out the historic rivalry between their fathers, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. Hearn also highlighted that the animosity between the sons has grown into the most intense and bitter rivalry in British boxing at present.
And there's nothing to suggest, and this is nothing against Conor, he's coming around, there's nothing to suggest Conor can deliver, because no one's seen him in a title fight at Southern, English, British, European. And looking at his last performance in America too that he had while this was going, there was nothing to suggest you could beat Eubank Jr. Now you look at Eubank Jr.'s resume, yes, it's 35, 36, but he was in the World Boxing Super Series against George Groves, a big super minute. He went to Turkey and knocked out Yildirim. Then he ragdolled James DeGale round the ring. Yeah. He's got that experience, and when he's motivated and focused, we're seeing what he did to Liam Smith. I think Eubank Jr. I just think he's too big, hits too strong, and that's.
I think Conor Benn beats Eubank, but I kind of need Eubank to win. I mean, for myself, from a selfish perspective, I need him to win.
Did you want to fight him?
Yeah, exactly.
Would it be the first defence if you win that, or when you win that WBC title? Is that someone that you would choose?
100%. 100%. As long as obviously everyone's okay with it, it'd be that. I mean, why not? It'd be the biggest fight for me next in boxing, and I haven't got long left in the 160-pound division, so it's not me going on about taking certain defences. It's all about just fighting.
Ricky Hatton shared his thoughts on the upcoming Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. fight, noting the excitement surrounding Benn's decision to move up 2 weight classes. He mentioned that Benn hasn't faced an opponent like Eubank Jr., particularly at a higher weight, but praised Benn's confidence and relentless determination, drawing parallels to his father's mindset. While many view Eubank Jr. as the favorite, Hatton suggested that Benn's strong self-belief and drive could make the fight more competitive than most expect.
Got a top 5, 6 who fancies having a little dance with Jack, we're more than up for.
I imagine something's going on behind me there, so you just started laughing, but I just want to get your thoughts on a couple of other things. Speaking of controversy earlier on in the sport, Gervonta Davis, the 9th round, what did you make of it, Jamie?
Yeah, listen, he's gone down, he took a knee, which should have been counted as a knockdown, and then that changes the scoring again. But listen, he's got away with it. You know, sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you don't, and such is life. But someone ringside with instant replay who looks at it, and at the end of the round, they go around to the judges and they go, actually, that should be counted as a knockdown. So make sure you do it on your scorecards. At the time, you know, a lot of sports are using technology now to be able to make sure that they get decisions right in refereeing and stuff like that. So maybe that's something we could look at.
On the UK scene, Eubank Benn, we had the press tour last week. What did you make of it, or what did you make of Eggate, and what do you make of the fight?
Listen, they know how to sell a fight, absolutely. Both of them, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, they know what they're doing, they know how to sell a fight, and everyone's talking about it. So job done. You know, I seen a thing that there was 120,000 people in the queue for tickets. So if that's the case, then phenomenal. And it's the type of fight where people who aren't boxing fans are going to be watching, which brings in a whole new audience, which is only a good thing.
Joe, Gallagher expressed doubts about Conor Benn's chances against Eubank Jr., noting Benn's lack of experience against top-level fighters compared to Eubank, who has faced stronger competition. He highlighted Eubank's notable victories, including his performances against George Groves, Avni Yildirim, and James DeGale. Gallagher emphasized that when fully motivated, Eubank's size and power make him a tough challenge for Benn.
It's 3 times bigger than it was before the 2 positive clomiphene tests. Benn's dangerous early in that fight, in my view, because he's coming with all that stinging venom and kind of pent-up aggression that he's developed over the last 2.5 years. But I think Eubank's fought the better level of opponents, even though he's aged 2.5 years and he's been knocked out by Liam Smith. I go Eubank on the builder once they get the fathers involved. April the 26th. Nigel and Conor are both emotional. And Chris both play the villain, don't they?
Okay.
Even though I think in this one, Eubank Jr is going to be able to sit back a little bit. Yeah, some people are saying that they don't think the fight means anything, but I think the bloodline in British sport.
Any man in the UK who's watched the Dads fight are desperate to watch.
Hamza Shiraz predicted Conor Benn would beat Eubank Jr., but personally hoped for a Eubank victory. Shiraz explained that if Eubank won, it could create a future opportunity for them to fight, which he views as a significant chance. He also mentioned that if he wins the WBC title, Eubank would be his preferred opponent for his first defense. With his time at 160 pounds limited, Shiraz emphasized that his focus isn't just on holding titles, but on securing the biggest possible matchup.
I think Eubank is the favourite, and a lot of it depends on how he makes the weight and what he looks like on the scales, and the 10-pound rehydration clause is going to be difficult for him. I've been kind of criticised a wee bit because I've been saying he's been boxing at 168. He hasn't, he's been boxing at 160, but the point I was trying to make was he has boxed at 168, and as you get older, you normally go up the weight, you don't come down the weight, so he's it's hurting him now to do 160, and I need to see what he looked like on a scale before I make a prediction.
Jamie Moore acknowledged that both Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn are masters at generating hype, successfully building immense anticipation for their fight. He pointed out that the reported 120,000 people in the ticket queue demonstrated the excitement surrounding the event. Moore also highlighted how this type of spectacle appeals not only to hardcore boxing fans, but also attracts casual viewers, helping to expand the sport's reach and benefit boxing as a whole.
I think it's a great fight. I would pick Benn at the minute, simply because Eubank was cracked by Liam Smith, and he was never cracked before, and it's a summary for me. He had a great chin up to then, and then he was knocked out, and it's never quite the same again. I think Benn is a more explosive fighter than Liam Smith. He's faster. He punches hard, but then good big one will always beat a good little one. All those cliches. But I just think I would give Benn the edge. But Eubank.
When it came to predicting the outcome, Jamie Moore favored Eubank Jr., citing his superior experience and history of competing at higher levels and in bigger weight classes. He noted that Eubank's resume made him the more battle-hardened fighter. However, Moore acknowledged lingering questions about whether Eubank could maintain his strength at the lower middleweight limit and whether Benn's power would carry over to the higher weight. Despite these uncertainties, Moore ultimately believed Eubank's size and experience would be the key factors in determining the fight's outcome.
Conor Benn, I know Conor, spoke to him a few times, always been a top bloke to me. His dad's a top bloke, his dad's a legend, and I'll be backing him. But it's going to be difficult, as he's already alluded to, the two weight divisions coming up, but it'll also be difficult for Eubank to stay within that hydration clause, I think it is. So it's all to play for both.
Chris is that he can box as well, like he can box as well, and he might have to do that in this fight. If he sits in, but he loves to fight. Do you know what I mean? Both of these guys love to fight. Conor is a fighter. They're going to come and smash heads to each other, and they're going to stick a war on like we haven't seen for a long while, between two guys that generally dislike each other. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be a fantastic fight. I wouldn't miss it. Do you know what I mean?
Davies argued that the fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. has reached unprecedented levels of excitement, particularly following Benn's 2 positive drug tests. He predicted that Benn would approach the fight aggressively, driven by years of frustration, which could make him a dangerous threat early on. However, despite Benn's intent, Davies felt that Eubank's experience against higher-level competition would give him the upper hand, even considering his age and recent knockout loss to Liam Smith. Ultimately, Davies foresaw Eubank winning by decision.
I know what, fights are won and lost on the scales. I know what he can do when you're tight for weight. I know how difficult it is when you're tight for weight. And unless you're around both of them, listen, there's pluses, there's pros and cons in that. And it really is such a 50-50. It really is. I mean, the ferocity of Conor Benn could be overwhelming for Eubank, But Eubank, listen, he's fought the better opposition in his career. But I think he's not the most active of guys either. But he's getting on a little bit. It's a 50-50 man. But yeah, I think the weight will suit Conor Benn, and therefore I'll give him.
So, what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.